today will assure that all federal workers who've been furloughed during the government shutdown will eventually be made whole. That is, they'll get all their pay. So they don't need to worry about that. I think that is good for a couple of reasons. Not only is it good for those individuals, obviously, but it means effectively, why are we shutting down the government? It seems to me we should now be bringing people back to work pretty quickly. And it was done in a bipartisan fashion. Both parties worked together on this. Even when they're fighting, they found another thing like paying the military that they could agree on. So I think this brings us a step closer to starting up the government, and it certainly reassures federal workers who've been put out of work through no fault of their own that at some point they're going to get their check.
And are you hopeful that all of the defense workers, all the civilians that have been home will be reporting for work next week?
I am. I think there's been some misunderstanding at the Defense Department as to who's covered by the pay the military legislation that we passed. In our view, everybody is covered. Every civilian worker, every contractor with the military, because they're all vital to the maintenance of the effectiveness of the United States forces. So we think they should be there. I know that Buck McKeon, who's the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, has been pushing the Pentagon hard on that. Pentagon's been waiting for some interpretation from Justice Department lawyers. We think that will be coming down next week. But again, Congress passed the law. I think it has a pretty good idea of what it meant to do. And what it meant to do was to put people that work in the defense industry, that are federal employees and contractors, back at work.
And I'm amazed that after this conference passed unanimously, the Senate passed unanimously, and the President signed instructions that our military, our civilians, and civilian contractors who work with our military should be held harmless in this entire shutdown, that after a week, we're still waiting for them to implement the law that was put into place a week ago as the lawyers in the Pentagon discussed what civilians are affected by that and what civilian contractors are affected. They're allowing us to have more and more pain and trying to inflict that on the American people, specifically the military, when all of us agreed together before the shutdown even occurred that they would be held harmless entirely. And it's very frustrating that we have to push this, that we even have to pass something today that houses of worship, places of worship, and chapels should still be able to work over this weekend engaging in worship. For many people, worship and getting a chance to practice their religious faith is an essential part of their life. And for the administration to pull back and say there will be places where you won't have worship on a weekend for our military is absolutely unacceptable.
The great challenge right now is trying to get everybody in the same room together. The House is set for a week. We wanted to have what's called a conference committee. We've selected our negotiators, asked the Senate to select negotiators so we can start working out. We understand this is going to be a compromise. There are going to be things that we're going to disagree on through it. We can't even form that compromise and be able to determine what's acceptable and not acceptable. Our big issues have been two things. Have been members of Congress and the White House should not be exempt from Obamacare. They should be included like all the rest of the American people, and that individuals that are currently under the mandates and all the penalties should be treated the same as big businesses are, because big businesses right now are not. And so we're just trying to provide some sort of level of fairness. Right now the Senate and the White House have said no, they don't agree with that. We want to be able to push back and say let's continue talking about that. Plus we still have to resolve all the different funding aspects of the government and then also the debt ceiling that's coming up. So there are a lot of areas of common ground to be able to fix this. We've got to get in the room to be able to actually resolve it.